son, we're gonna have to put you back in.
My name is Lieutenant Waters. I'm with the U.S. Navy. I'm here to get you and your people out.
The jungle is filling up with rebel troops. When they get to this mission, they will kill everything they see.
No longer entering Nigerian airspace.
When Tears of the Sun was released in 2003, it arrived as a stark and uncompromising war drama anchored by Bruce Willis at a time when audiences were used to seeing him as the wisecracking action hero. Instead of leaning into spectacle or exaggerated heroics, the film plants him deep inside the moral fog of modern warfare. Directed with a somber intensity, the story unfolds in the dense, unforgiving jungles of Nigeria, where a brutal civil conflict has left civilians trapped between ruthless militants and a collapsing government. From its opening moments, the film establishes a mood of urgency and dread, grounding the narrative in a realistic depiction of military procedure while slowly building towards something far more emotional and ethically complex than a standard rescue mission. Bruce Willis plays Lieutenant A.K. Waters, a battle-hardened Navy SEAL commander tasked with leading a small elite team into hostile territory. The objective initially appears straightforward: extract Dr. Lena Kendricks, portrayed by Monica Bellucci, an American physician working at a remote Catholic mission. The political situation in Nigeria has deteriorated rapidly, and American citizens must be evacuated before rebel forces sweep through the region. Waters and his team are professionals, disciplined and precise, operating with clinical efficiency. They are not there to solve a war. They are there to complete a mission and leave. That rigid clarity of purpose becomes the central tension of the film. When Waters and his team reach the mission, they encounter a reality that complicates everything. Dr. Kendricks refuses to abandon her patients, 70 frightened refugees who have sought shelter at the mission, unless the soldiers agree to escort them to safety as well. These refugees include women, children, and elderly villagers, many of whom have already witnessed unspeakable violence. The rebels closing in are not simply political insurgents, they're portrayed as merciless killers, leaving a trail of massacres behind them. The doctor's refusal forces Waters into a moral crossroads. His orders are clear: extract the doctor only. But the humanity standing before him makes those orders feel hollow. Monica Bellucci's performance adds emotional weight to the story. Her character is not written as a helpless victim, but as a woman of conviction, someone who has chosen to stay in a war zone because she believes her presence matters. She challenges Waters not with anger, but with principle, asking him whether his duty is limited to paperwork and commands, or whether it extends to the protection of innocent lives when he has the power to help. The dynamic between Willis and Bellucci becomes the heartbeat of the film. It is not a conventional romance, but there is a quiet, emotional current between them, built on mutual respect and shared exposure to danger. Ultimately, Waters makes a decision that changes the trajectory of the mission. He initially appears to comply with the doctor's demand, leading the refugees into the jungle. However, under pressure from command, he attempts to split from them and proceed with the extraction as ordered. The moment the refugees are abandoned becomes one of the film's most haunting sequences. The sound of distant gunfire and the knowledge of what awaits those left behind pierce through Waters' hardened exterior. In that instant, the film transitions from a procedural military operation into a meditation on conscience. Waters cannot reconcile his orders with what he knows will happen. Against direct command, he turns back. From there, the narrative transforms into a desperate journey through the jungle, with the SEAL team escorting the refugees toward the Cameroon border, the nearest safe haven. The jungle itself becomes an antagonist, humid, suffocating, and filled with unseen threats. The rebels pursue relentlessly, and the group must navigate treacherous terrain while protecting civilians who are exhausted and traumatized. The film carefully balances moments of tactical realism, radio communications, perimeter defenses, coordinated movements, with raw, unfiltered depictions of the human costs of war. Cole Hauser, among the supporting cast, contributes to the authenticity of the SEAL team dynamic. The soldiers are portrayed not as caricatures, but as individuals with distinct personalities, bound by loyalty and professionalism. Their camaraderie is understated, revealed through glances and quiet exchanges rather than overt speeches. As the danger escalates, the weight of their decision to defy orders becomes increasingly clear. They are not only risking their lives, but potentially their careers and reputations. Yet none of them hesitates once Waters commits to the path of protection. One of the film's most striking elements is its unflinching portrayal of violence. Tears of the Sun does not sanitize the brutality inflicted on civilians. Villages are shown devastated, families torn apart, and atrocities committed without mercy. These scenes are difficult to watch, but they serve a purpose. They contextualize the stakes of Waters' decision. Without witnessing the horrors faced by the refugees, the moral dilemma would feel abstract. Instead, it becomes visceral. The audience understands exactly what is being escaped and why the mission matters beyond military protocol. The title itself carries layered meaning. On the surface, it evokes the oppressive African sun beating down on soldiers and refugees alike. On a deeper level, it suggests sorrow illuminated, grief that cannot hide in darkness. There is a recurring visual motif of light filtering through jungle canopies, symbolizing both exposure and hope. The cinematography emphasizes earthy tones and natural light, creating a grounded aesthetic that reinforces the film's serious tone. As the journey continues, the tension tightens, the group suffers losses, ambushes occur, supplies dwindle. Waters evolves from a commander strictly adhering to orders into a leader guided by moral conviction. Bruce Willis portrays this transformation with restraint. There are no grand monologues announcing his change of heart. Instead, it is visible in subtle shifts: the way he looks at the refugees, the firmness in his voice when defending them, the protective stance he adopts. It is a performance built on quiet resolve, rather than explosive emotion. The climax unfolds at the border, where the refugees' safety hinges on reaching friendly forces in time. Rebel troops close in, leading to a fierce and chaotic firefight. The contrast between heavily trained soldiers and desperate militants underscores the complexity of the conflict. The SEAL team fights not for strategic advantage, but for human lives standing behind them. The battle is intense and costly, reinforcing the film's refusal to treat war as consequence-free heroism. Sacrifice becomes central, and the cost of moral choice is laid bare. In its final moments, Tears of the Sun offers a measured sense of resolution. The refugees who survive cross into safety, but the victory is bittersweet. Lives have been lost, and the political turmoil remains unresolved. Waters and his team have upheld their humanity, but at significant personal and professional risk. The film closes not with triumphant celebration, but with reflective gravity, inviting viewers to consider the weight of decisions made in impossible circumstances. Beyond its narrative, the film sparked discussion about the depiction of real-world conflicts and the responsibilities of global powers during humanitarian crises. While fictionalized, its setting echoes genuine unrest that plagued parts of Africa during that era. The movie positions itself less as a geopolitical analysis and more as an exploration of individual agency within larger systems. It asks whether obedience absolves responsibility and whether moral courage can exist within rigid hierarchies. The official trailer emphasized both the action and the ethical stakes, showcasing intense jungle combat alongside the emotional exchanges between Waters and Dr. Kendricks. It framed the film as a high-stakes rescue story, but hinted at the deeper questions beneath the gunfire. For audiences drawn to Bruce Willis for explosive set pieces, the trailer delivered glimpses of combat. For those seeking substance, it revealed the moral undercurrent driving the plot. Over time, Tears of the Sun has been revisited as one of the more serious entries in Willis's filmography. It stands apart from his earlier blockbuster persona, demonstrating his capacity to anchor a drama rooted in ethical complexity. Monica Bellucci's performance continues to be recognized for bringing compassion and strength to the narrative, while Cole Hauser and the supporting cast contribute to the immersive portrayal of a SEAL unit under pressure. The film's pacing deliberately mirrors the exhaustion of its characters. Long treks through dense jungle create a sense of endurance. Quiet pauses between bursts of violence allow the audience to absorb the gravity of events. This rhythm reinforces the central theme. that heroism is often less about dramatic gestures and more about sustained commitment to doing what is right, even when every directive says otherwise. At its core, Tears of the Sun is a story about choice. Lieutenant Waters could have followed orders without hesitation and completed a clean extraction. Instead, he chooses to bear the burden of defiance. That choice transforms a routine mission into a life-altering journey. It reframes the concept of strength, suggesting that true resilience lies not only in physical capability, but in moral clarity. The film does not claim to solve the complexities of war or humanitarian intervention. It does, however, humanize the individuals caught within those complexities. The refugees are not anonymous figures. They are given faces and stories, reminding viewers that geopolitical conflicts are ultimately measured in human suffering. By centering their survival as the mission's true objective, the narrative shifts the definition of success. In the years since its release, Tears of the Sun remains a conversation piece among war film enthusiasts. Some view it as a straightforward action drama elevated by ethical themes. Others see it as a poignant examination of duty and compassion. What remains undeniable is its commitment to portraying soldiers as multidimensional individuals, grappling with consequences that extend beyond the battlefield. Watching the film today, its relevance persists. Questions about intervention, responsibility, and the protection of civilians continue to dominate global discourse. The movie's refusal to provide easy answers feels intentional. It leaves viewers contemplating what they would do in Waters' position: adhere strictly to command or risk everything to save strangers. The emotional impact lingers long after the final scene. The image of soldiers standing between danger and defenseless lives encapsulates the film's message. Beneath the relentless sun, amid gunfire and uncertainty, humanity becomes the most powerful weapon. Tears of the Sun ultimately argues that courage is not defined solely by combat proficiency, but by the willingness to let compassion override convenience. Through its performances, stark visuals, and moral tension, the film carves out a distinct place within early 2000s war cinema. It blends action with introspection, spectacle with sorrow, delivering a narrative that challenges as much as it entertains. And in doing so, it ensures that its story of a commander, a doctor, 70 refugees, and a choice that redefines them all continues to resonate with audiences seeking more than just another battlefield victory.